So, ow. Ow, that hurt. Starbucks today. I think I'm ready. Hello my beauties, and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, hi, my name is Janelle, and if you are not new here, hi, my name is still Janelle. Thank you so much for being here. So today, I am very excited. I'm always excited to film videos for you guys, but today, I'm actually a little bit more interested to see how this video is going to go. I'm going to be doing the anti-TBR tag. I've seen people doing this, and I've watched a few of them, and to me they're just really entertaining to like see what people won't read, and it's made me a little bit more comfortable to talk about books that I don't want to read, because I feel like some of these I'm gonna get some pushback from some of y'all, so we're gonna see how this is gonna go. But before we get into the video, as always, make sure to subscribe down below and click the bell so that you can be notified every time I upload a new video. Also, give this video a thumbs up if you like this video, or if you just like me, I would really appreciate it. And I think that's everything. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the video. So let me go ahead and make a disclaimer for this entire video that this is how I'm feeling right now. This could totally change within 6 months to a year, and some of these books I actually end up reading, but this is just books right now that I'm just kind of like, nah, I'm good. So yes, I do want to say that so that later, if you guys are watching now and then down the road you see me reading the book, you're not like,
oh my gosh, I thought you said you would never read that book. Oh my gosh.
It's just because this is how I feel right now, okay? On, what's today? On February 22nd of 2021, this is how I feel, okay? So, the first question, or statement, I don't know, to me they're questions, is a popular book that everyone loves that you won't read. So, this one, for me, is Crescent City. So, the reason behind Crescent City, for me, is because I read the synopsis and it seems kind of dark. And I guess it's like a girl and a demon kills her sister or something. I don't know. There's something with a demon, okay? And I am very careful about what I read and how dark it gets, because sometimes it has a negative effect on me. So as much as I love thrillers, I do have to pace myself with them, because then my fears start to become overwhelming and it takes me to a really bad spot. So Crescent City is one of those books that I am just, I think, more nervous about reading, and that's why I'm kind of stiff-arming it and saying I'm not going to read that book, because it does seem a little dark, but I know so many people love that book and it's like their favorite, and they have multiple editions and copies of it, but that is just me. The second question is a classic that you aren't interested in. So this one I feel like is, a lot of people aren't interested in this one. I do like classics. Like, one of my favorite classics, which I consider it a classic, is The Great Gatsby. That is like one of my favorite classics. I love that book. I do want to read a little bit more of classics, but this one just reminds me of school, and I didn't like being forced to read for an assignment. I wanted to read like because I like to read, not because I was now going to be graded on it. But it is Catcher in the Rye. I have absolutely no interest in reading this. I see it, I feel like, all the time when I go into Barnes & Noble, and it's like sitting there and it's like half off, and I'm like, yeah, it's half off because nobody wants to read it. So that is just me. I am not interested whatsoever in reading Catcher in the Rye. Question number 3 is a problematic author you have no interest in reading. So this, I honestly, I'm not even going to lie to you guys, I had to look up different problematic authors because I don't know, I just didn't know which authors were considered problematic, and maybe that's just because I haven't read a lot of those authors, but this one, I kind of like did research on this author, which one of these books I already didn't care to read. But then when I found out a little bit more about the author, then I was really like, no, I don't want to read this. And it is Ernest Cline, which is the author of Ready Player One and Ready Player Two. I just have no interest in reading these books. I don't know why. I just don't. I don't know. It doesn't, like, intrigue me. Like, I'm just kind of like, okay. But when I did a little bit of research on this author, I was like, yeah, no, I'm not reading this book. So, yeah, and I will link the article down below in the description box of the problematic authors that I read about. They were very informative and also wasn't biased, so that was really cool. But yeah, so Ernest Cline, Ready Player One, mainly Ernest Cline, not interested. Question number 4 is an author that isn't for you. So this author, I've only read one of her books. Yes, there's a hint, it's a her. I've only read one of her books, and it just wasn't, like, fantastic. And I think it was just the writing style. Like, I gave it a good rating because I genuinely like this storyline, but the writing style is just, like, kind of bland for me, and that is Holly Black. I do own the entire Cruel Prince series. I think it's called the Folk Heir series. And truthfully, I do plan to finish the series at some point, but I don't think her writing style is, like, my cup of tea. Yeah. I don't know. It's something about her writing style that is just, like, to me, it's just bland, and it doesn't keep me interested. And to be honest, like, the character development in Cruel Prince was just not, like, my favorite. It was really, really hard for me to understand the characters, to be honest. So, yeah, so Holly Black for me. Question number 5 is a genre you have no interest in. So, I should say these are statements, because I feel like these aren't questions. But, so I put down 2 genres, because honestly, I kind of go back and forth between these two of, like, genres that don't always grab my attention. The number 1 genre that I just really have no interest in is historical fiction. Like, I don't know what it is about historical fiction, but it just, like, doesn't get me going, you know? Like, it doesn't do anything for me. And maybe it's just because I've been reading all of the wrong historical fictions. So if you have a, like, favorite historical fiction or a really awesome historical fiction that you would like to recommend, please leave it in the comments down below, because if I can find a good historical fiction, then maybe I can, like, create my own opinions of historical fiction, but I just haven't found any historical fictions that I like. Truthfully, I find myself trying to read a historical fiction just because I want to expand, like, my experience with each genre. So I don't know. So historical fiction, but the other one is also romance. So romance is really, really hard for me to be okay with, and I think it's because I feel like all romances are, like, the same. I do have a few romances this year that I'm, like, anticipating, which you either have seen that, because I'm pre-filming this, so I have no idea when these videos are coming out, but I talked about a few romances in my more new releases of 2021, and there's a few in there that I am anticipating, and it's because the romance storyline seems to be a little bit different, but usually romances just don't do it for me. A romance within something I'm good with, but if it's just a romance, it's really, really difficult for me to, like, get on board with it. Okay, number 6 is a book you bought but won't read. So I would get it, but as you can see, I should probably talk about my setup. Okay, let me give you an update on my setup. So I came home the other day and my parents just plopped this huge queen-size bed in my tiny room, and so now I have, like, seriously no space for books, so they're all just stacked right now. So yeah, that's what we're working with, but I do have the book on my shelf. I got it in a book box from Bookcase Club, and I'm sure it's a good book. I just don't have any interest in reading it. It just doesn't sound like something that would interest me. And it's called Vasa. I think it's Vasa in the Night. I can't remember the author, but I'll insert a picture. But I don't know. I read the synopsis and I tried to, like, okay, like, maybe get into this book, and I just couldn't convince myself to read it. So that's probably a book you will never see me read. However, I will keep it on my shelf because I'm a book hoarder and I like to just have a bunch of books even if I don't read them. Is that terrible? Does anybody else do that? Because I have, like, some books in these stacks that are like books that I've gotten from people that I know that I will not read, but I like to keep them on my shelf. Just me? Number 7 is a series you aren't interested in. So I feel like this series is already controversial enough, but it is Twilight. I have no interest in reading the Twilight series. I watched the movies with my fiance, and honestly, we watched the movies just for like memory's sake for him, because the acting is really cheesy, but anyways, that's besides the point. I did watch the movies, but because I've already seen the movies, I have no interest to read the book. But also I haven't heard, like I've heard people either love the Twilight series or hate the Twilight series. Like, it is the throwback of Throne of Glass, I feel like. Like, Throne of Glass is the one that I feel like everybody is, like, on one side or the other. Okay, my camera shut off once again, but we're used to it at this point. But anyways, so number 8, the final question / statement is a new release you have no interest in reading. So I feel like you're all going to hunt me down and murder me for saying this, but this is just how I feel. I actually I tried my best. I promise you, I tried my best to read this book, and I couldn't do it. I got 140 pages in, or maybe even 100, I think it was like 150 or 160 or something like that. I was pretty far into this book, and still it was not entertaining for me. Like, it was not fun. I didn't like it. And it is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I know, you all hate me. Like, I can feel your pitchforks, okay? I don't know what it is about this book. It has such a slow start. Like, I feel like it's one of those stories that should have been this big, and it's like this thick. And I'm like, what? We don't need all of this. Like, I don't know. That's just me. Like, I feel like it's one of those, here's a perfect analogy of how I feel. Those of you who watch WandaVision, okay? By the time this is out, all of the WandaVision episodes will be out. I'm not going to spoil anything. But each WandaVision episode, I feel like you get this much information, and the rest of the episode is stuff you already knew. Like, they're just, like, re-hitting what they already talked about in the last episode for, like, the majority, and then they're giving you this little chunk of new stuff, and it frustrates the mess out of me. So I really feel like that is what's happening with The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. Like, they're giving me all of this information that can be understood by the reader, and they're going into grave detail about it that I'm like, I don't need all this detail, just get to the point. So I feel like it just hasn't gotten to the point. It's just really slow, and it's not my favorite. And I've never ever ranted this much about this book, and I feel terrible because this is one of the books that I was so excited to read. If you've seen my What I Got for Christmas video, I was so excited to read this book. My sister-in-law bought it for me. I was stoked. It was my favorite Christmas present, other than my camera, but it was my favorite Christmas present, and I read it, and I just couldn't do it. So I feel terrible for not liking it, and truthfully, I will probably try and pick it up again and try and read it, but I don't have any interest in reading it. I'm like, I've hit my mark. Like, I'm just like, no, that's my cap. Like, I'm done. I can't. So, yeah. But that is all of the questions / statements for the anti-TBR tag. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I love you guys so much, and I cannot wait to be back in real time filming videos for you guys again. If you're watching this, I think I'm on my honeymoon, or I'm getting back from my honeymoon, so that's really cool. But yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next one.